This is the 10 steps in 12 minutes on how the all-new zoning codes in CodeNEXT will be applied to your Austin home and neighborhood. The Bolden Creek neighborhood is our example, but it applies to others as well. Bolden Creek is in the urban core and one of the city's most historic areas, resulting in a single-family neighborhood that is distinctly Austin. Bolden Creek is bordered by South Congress to the east, Union Pacific Railroad to the west, Lady Bird Lake to the north, and West Oldthorpe to the south. It includes two major commercial areas, South First and South Congress. It is bisected by two urban creeks, East and West Bolden Creek, and are both subject to flooding. The neighborhood has changed dramatically as a result of gentrification. 179 homes have been sold in the last 3 years alone, and numerous older, smaller homes have been demolished. First, let's discuss how the city currently defines zoning. 3 areas of importance are your zoning code, the type of land uses permitted, and the development standards. Something to think about when discussing your zoning are the front, side, and back setback rules and how high and wide the dwelling can be on the property. This is step 1 of the 10-step process. Links for you to evaluate your own 10 steps and resources are shown at the end of the video. The city provides this current and proposed zoning map that defines the new zoning codes. Currently, the majority of Bolden's neighborhood is single-family 3 with a neighborhood plan, shown as SF-3-NP. The city has proposed a number of different Transect zones for Bolden. One of those is T3N.IS. The city zoning guide says T3N.IS zoning is similar to SF-3. Let's check that out. Bolden will have all new Transect zoning codes. Transects are also called form-based code because of the shape or form of a home is more tightly controlled. The Transect neighborhood concept is supposed to encourage walkable neighborhoods. Drivable neighborhoods are called non-Transect zones and have a very different zoning method. One of Bolden's new codes is T3N.IS. It allows for small and medium houses, duplexes, cottages, and accessory dwelling units, or ADUs, which are buildings usually at the back of the lot. ADUs can be used as a home. Example photos of the building types from the CodeNEXT text are shown. Transects are intended to increase density in single-family neighborhoods and are expected to encourage demolitions in order to achieve allowable density and maximum return on land value. Transects have rules for porches, uniform architecture, connected streets, which means no cul-de-sacs, reduced on-site parking requirements, and allow for a variety of commercial and retail services on and near residential lots. Step 2 is to compare your current SF3 zoning to the new code. T3N.IS has specifications for many different lot sizes, but we will focus on a 6,000 square foot lot. Step 4 will show you how to find your lot size. Accessory dwelling units had their allowable size increase from 1,100 to 1,344 square feet, and this is larger than many existing homes in Bolden. Currently, the maximum number of dwellings on a 6,000 square foot lot is 1 home and 1 ADU. Under CodeNEXT, an additional unit, a duplex and an ADU may be allowed. Many lots in Bolden are over 7,000 square feet, and some are much larger. Under CodeNEXT, large lots in Bolden could be subdivided, since 4,000 square foot lots, or even smaller, are permitted in T3N. Additionally, you no longer have to re-subdivide to place multiple houses on a lot. Only a site plan with design sight lines is required. Impervious cover is the same, but currently many dwellings use much less. We can't assess the flooding impact if the maximum impervious cover is met, because the flooding assessment has not been done by the city due to expense. Front yard setback now goes from 25 feet to 15 feet, so new dwellings can be closer to the road. This could result in a zigzag appearance on your street. CodeNEXT has over 1,100 pages of text, and this is a snippet of that text to show you what it looks like. Here, maximum height of 2 stories is shown, along with specific ways to measure it. CodeNEXT defines with certainty how transected zone buildings should conform to the new form regulations, but it does not define how the exterior would look or how it would fit in with the neighborhood look and feel. Transects define very precisely where new homes can be placed so they look more uniform. Each type of home has a minimum lot size and a minimum width and depth. There are specifications on where trees are placed. Front porches, stoops, and common yards have specifications. This makes it difficult to do a side-by-side comparison with the old zoning code because the old code had more freedom to make decisions. There are many more standards, such as open space, signage, parking, and site constraints. Hard to see how Austin will stay weird in transect zones. Currently, an 8-story building is required to be 410 feet away from residences, but the draft code can allow them to be only 150 feet away. By having a tall building almost in their backyard, this could make residents feel uncomfortable. Step 3 is to assess parking standards, bus routes, and corridor density increases. For brevity, only the parking standard changes are shown. For new buildings, parking space requirements are cut in half, which may result in increased street parking. New single-family homes can go down to 1 parking space from 2. Duplexes go down to 2 required spaces from 4. Driveways may be shared with the person next door, though. The first 2,500 square feet of any new retail construction is excluded from having any parking requirement, but this does not include restaurants. The Director of Planning, whose decision is unreviewable, may further reduce or eliminate on-site parking. Step 4 is to find your lot size. One way is to go to the Travis Central Appraisal District website and enter in your address, and then select Map at the top right. Bolden has many lots greater than 7,000 square feet and some very small exception lots. As we said, large lots can now more easily be subdivided, and Bolden could evolve into an even higher density neighborhood. Note that CodeNEXT proposes T4 zoning, which is even higher density transect zoning than T3N.is for much of Bolden Creek. In the large sections of T4N, as many as 5 units may be built on an SF3 lot. Step 5 is to compare the zoning uses. Here we are comparing the current SF3 to the proposed T3N.is uses. P means the use is permitted, which means it can be built by right. The new CUP designation means conditional use permit and is similar to the current process. The new MUP designation means minor use permit. It allows the Director of Development Services to take final action with no public input, and citizens' valid petitions will not be allowed on these items. An appeal is available, though. Under T3N.is, parks and playgrounds are automatically permitted. Studios would be permitted. Also, telecommunication towers have gone from conditional permitting to permitted by right. Another category to notice in the T3 Transect is the open subzone, which provides the same building shape but allows commercial uses such as retail, office personal services, and small restaurants. Also, bars and nightclubs with alcohol sales and outside seating and late-night operations would be conditionally permitted, making it easier for bars and nightclubs to be open beyond the commercial areas. The sub-code is not mapped for T3 in Bolden, but it is shown in some of the T4 areas. Currently, there are open zones in Bolden only along high-traffic streets. CodeNEXT does not spell out where and how the open subzone will be applied. Step 6 is to review your current zoning code, which is SF3NP for Bolden Creek. The case that establishes the code, the governing ordinances, and highlighted in green are the appropriate large area overlays. Under the draft text, Bolden's long-developed neighborhood plan may not be exactly followed, making it difficult to evaluate the impact of the proposed zoning. Note, neighborhood plans are not shown on the CodeNEXT proposed maps. Step 7 is to check that your home's specific conditional overlay, which restricts specific uses or development standards, is correct on the proposed map. Check the large area overlays also, which act to achieve specific large area goals, such as the waterfront overlay. These are not shown on the proposed city map either, but are applied in the code text. Steps 8 and 9 are to go back through the previous 1 to 7 steps to evaluate other places. Bottom line, let's take the time to get it right, because permitted uses have been changed, but are not made clear to the public, because the original zoning implications of safety, traffic, sidewalks, parking, the open subzone category, and ADUs need to be understood. Public input on zoning is reduced. Flooding potential, signage, the strategic mobility plan, impact to heritage trees, and urban trail standards are not complete. And the proposal is still too complex. The ability for citizens to comment on the code is now closed. Ask City Council to keep the comment process open on the next draft. So step 10 is to make comments on the map and the code text, and to email your City Council on your views and how you think it may affect your property values. This and the next slide review the 10 steps and the links you need. Following that, there is info on where to get more neighborhood materials and education. Yes, it's messy to do it right. Check back with us because the maps and code text are expected to change. Check out Community Not Commodity for neighborhood resource materials and updates. These charts have been prepared by volunteers with expertise. This document is merely an introduction to the draft code, and this is Community Not Commodity's interpretation of a very complex code.